In this part of Optics Essentials, we're going to start to apply an effect to our image and limit it using a mask. So I have my image loaded in and I'm going to come down and choose what filter I want to use. And as I move through these categories here, you can see we have a lot of filters to choose from. We're going to stick in the grads and tints category, and I'm going to use a straightforward color gradient. And you'll see that as soon as I select that, it is applied into our layers over here. I always like to start with the presets, so I'll see if there's a preset that actually does what I want it to do. I'm looking for something that gives me a little bit more blue in the sky. So maybe something between cyan 3 and cyan 4 is going to be what I need. So moving into the viewer now, we have our on-screen widgets. If I click and drag in the middle here, we can offset the whole gradient up and down very, very easily. If I take this handle here, I can rotate either clockwise or anti-clockwise. And if I select the circles in the middle here, I can choose the size of the fall off in the gradient as well. If we want to get even more finely granular about it, I can just move these four corners around. At any point, I can use Control or Command Z to undo or come up to Edit and Undo. So whenever I say undo, I'm usually using the keyboard shortcut, Control or Command Z. Now the great thing about Optics is that the presets are only ever a starting point. If I come over to the right here, I can use my parameters to make fine changes. So I said that the result I wanted is probably somewhere between cyan 3 and cyan 4. So if I take the cyan 4 and then just take the opacity down a little bit on it, I can mix this back how I want it to be. If I don't want the gradient, I can always just turn the gradient off, and that's just going to go across the entire image. I'll just bring this back up to 100 now. Now applying effects is only ever part of the thing we want to do. Often we want to limit these effects to a certain part of the image. Some effects, like color gradient, have a built-in gradient already, so just by using the gradient, we're limiting the effect to a certain part of the image, but we can always use masks to do that. So I'm going to come back over to the layers and come over to this icon in the top. And if I hover over it, it's going to say add mask. If I click on it, we have a variety of different masks to choose from. And if you hover over the masks individually, you either get a description of what they're doing and a link to a video, or you can see a little tooltip about how these are going to work. So if you'd like to learn more about any of these mask types, then please check out the relevant video. I'm going to use a selection mask here. And as soon as I've selected that, you'll notice a few things change. Firstly, we have a new icon in the layers window. This is showing our mask. If we look further up, we have more tools in our toolbar. And we have a whole video about selection masks. So if you'd like to learn more about these, then please watch that video. What I'm going to do here is just expand the range slightly so that we get a softer fall off across the image. And if you have very good eyesight, you can see that updating over in the mask thumbnail in the layers. If you want to check out what's happening interactively in the image though, we can do that by clicking on the mountains, changing this either to view the mask or view an overlay mask. So this is going to give us a red rubylith overlay showing us where the masked images are. Or if you want to just see that in black and white, we can view the mask. And I'll switch that back. So now we have our first effect limited by a gradient and by a mask. And of course we can use multiple masks on any given area. And I'll leave a link to a more detailed tutorial about that too. In the next section, we're going to look at combining filters and doing layer blending. So join me then.